History doesn't announce the arrival of tyranny with fanfare or grand declarations. There are no warning bells, no sudden shifts that alert the masses to what is coming, nor does it begin with violence. Instead, it often slips in quietly, almost unnoticed, disguised as hope and order. The seeds of authoritarianism are sown in moments of uncertainty, when people yearn for stability and reassurance. Many infamous dictators were first welcomed, not feared. They arrived as saviors, promising to heal wounds and restore dignity. Crowds cheered them, desperate for stability and pride in uncertain times. The air was thick with anticipation, as if a new era was about to dawn. The tyrant's first weapon is not force, but promises, simple solutions for complex fears. They speak in absolutes, offering clarity where there is confusion. Before oppression, there is seduction. A leader who claims to understand suffering, who names enemies, and who offers to restore lost glory. They present themselves as the only answer to the nation's pain. They promise to bring back greatness, to return the country to a time when it was respected and strong. This narrative divides the world into us and them, making people feel part of a righteous cause. It stirs emotions, forging unity through shared grievances and imagined enemies. The tragedy is that this support hands the would-be tyrant the power to dismantle checks and balances. People accept small sacrifices, rights, dissent, and even their own voices, believing it's for the greater good. Power is slowly consolidated as citizens trade freedom for the illusion of safety and unity. Each concession seems minor, almost insignificant, but together they pave the way for irreversible change. The erosion of liberty is gradual, almost invisible. The tyrant, once secure, reveals his true face. The mask of benevolence slips, replaced by the cold certainty of control. The descent into dictatorship begins not with chains, but with applause. It is the sound of hope, twisted into the silence of freedom lost. It's easy to see past dictatorships as distant history, but that's a dangerous illusion. The forces that enable tyranny, fear, division, the longing for security, are timeless. Today's world, with its rapid change and digital misinformation, is fertile ground for authoritarian rhetoric. Leaders who attack the press, question elections, and scapegoat minorities echo the same playbook. Recognizing these warning signs isn't just academic, it's essential for defending freedom. Democracy is not a finished project. It requires constant vigilance. The fight for liberty is ongoing, and the weeds of tyranny grow when we're not watching. By learning from history, we protect our future. The past is our best defense against repeating its darkest chapters. Tyranny is more than a political system, it's the lived reality of absolute power. In a dictatorship, one person or a small group rules unchecked, the law bends to their will, and dissent is crushed. Unlike democracy, where leaders are accountable and rights are protected, tyranny rules by fear and force. There's no peaceful way to change the government, only revolution, war, or death. The press becomes propaganda, justice serves the powerful, and the state invades every aspect of life. Individual freedom is sacrificed for the dictator's grip on power. Secret police, prisons for opponents, and a climate of fear are the tools of the regime. Tyranny is the replacement of law with the will of one. It demands obedience, not consent. As history shows, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Dictatorships flourish in times of chaos, fear, and deep despair. When the world feels unpredictable and dangerous, people begin to search desperately for stability and safety, even if it comes at a cost. Economic collapse, mass unemployment, and the sting of national humiliation make entire societies anxious for order. When families can't put food on the table and hope seems lost, the promise of a new direction becomes irresistible. In these moments, a charismatic leader who promises strength, certainty, and even revenge becomes a vessel for collective anger and frustration. People rally behind someone who claims to have all the answers. Political instability and weak divided democracies open the door for strongmen who insist that democracy itself has failed. They claim only they can restore greatness and order. The promise is seductive, not more endless debate, but swift, decisive action. Trust me, not them, the leader says, offering certainty in uncertain times. Deep social divisions, whether based on class, race, or religion, give tyrants their sharpest tool, the scapegoat. They exploit old wounds and create new enemies. Blaming minorities or outsiders unites followers and distracts from the real, underlying problems. Hatred becomes a rallying cry, and fear is weaponized. The dictator forges a false sense of unity through division, offering simple enemies for complex woes. The crowd cheers, believing they finally have someone to blame. In this soil, fear, humiliation, instability, and division, tyranny takes root and begins to grow, often unnoticed until it's too late. The seeds are sown by crisis, but they are watered by the public's willingness to trade freedom for the illusion of security. People accept surveillance and control, hoping for peace. The result is a society primed for authoritarian rule, where fear and obedience replace debate and dissent. History repeats itself when we ignore these warning signs. Only by recognizing them can we hope to prevent the cycle from starting again. Hitler's rise in Germany is a chilling lesson in how a modern nation, with a rich culture and history, can descend into barbarism almost overnight. His ascent was not just the story of one man, but of a society in crisis, searching desperately for answers and hope. After World War I, Germany was left humiliated by defeat, its democracy fragile and its economy in ruins. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh penalties, fueling resentment and a sense of injustice among the German people. Everyday life became a struggle, and faith in the government faded. The Great Depression struck like a hammer, deepening despair. Millions lost their jobs, their savings, and their hope for the future. Families went hungry, and the streets filled with the unemployed, all searching for someone to blame and something to believe in. Extremist parties thrived in the chaos. Violence and political street battles became common. The fragile democracy seemed unable to restore order or provide solutions, and fear gripped the nation. Hitler, a charismatic outsider with a gift for fiery speeches, offered simple answers to complex problems, blamed traitors, promised strength, and vowed to restore German pride. He spoke directly to people's anger and pain, making them feel heard. His relentless propaganda machine painted Jews and political opponents as enemies, poisoning the nation, fueling hatred and division. Lies and conspiracy theories spread rapidly, shaping public opinion. The Nazis used grand rallies, powerful symbols, and the media to create a messianic image of Hitler as Germany's savior. The spectacle drew in millions, making resistance seem futile. In 1933, conservative elites, desperate to stabilize the country, handed him power, believing they could control him and use his popularity for their own ends. They were disastrously wrong. Hitler quickly exploited a national crisis to suspend civil liberties, crush opposition, and ban all other political parties. Dissent was silenced with brutal efficiency. He didn't seize power by force. He was given it legally, then dismantled democracy from within, step by step, until there was no turning back. The welcome tyrant had arrived, and Germany's fate was sealed. The people who cheered him would soon face the consequences of their choice. The lesson is clear. Democracy can be lost, not in a sudden coup, but gradually, by the consent and complacency of its own citizens. Tyranny often enters through the front door, welcomed by those who believe it could never happen to them, until it does. Stalin's rise in the Soviet Union was a masterclass in ruthless, silent consolidation. After Lenin's death, Stalin outmaneuvered rivals, controlling party appointments and building a loyal network. He eliminated opponents through alliances, betrayals, and show trials, rewriting history as he went. By the mid-1930s, his power was absolute. The Great Purge followed, millions arrested, tortured, sent to gulags, or executed. Fear ruled. Anyone could disappear for a careless word. Stalin's regime was not about hope, but total control and terror. The state became everything, the individual, nothing. Stalin was not a savior. He was the embodiment of paranoia and power. His legacy, a society paralyzed by fear, where trust and truth were casualties. Pinochet's dictatorship in Chile began with a military coup, not mass seduction. Chile's democracy was strong, but political polarization and economic crisis set the stage. In 1973, the military, backed by elites and foreign interests, overthrew President Allende. Pinochet seized power by force, promising to save Chile from chaos and communism. The result, a reign of terror. Congress dissolved, parties banned, censorship imposed. Thousands were detained, tortured, or disappeared. Fear became the new order. The National Stadium became a concentration camp. Pinochet's economic reforms won praise abroad, but for Chileans, his rule was a nightmare. His regime proved tyranny can arrive in a tank, not just a ballot box. The cost: a nation scarred by violence and silence. The stories of Hitler, Stalin, and Pinochet warn us: tyranny grows in the shadows of democracy's decay. It advances quietly, step by step, as institutions weaken and fear replaces reason. The scars of dictatorship, broken trust, silence, suspicion, last for generations. Rebuilding democracy is slow and painful. The human cost is immeasurable. Defending freedom is a daily duty, not a distant battle. Stay informed, question authority, and listen to dissenting voices. Speak out against injustice, reject easy answers, and beware leaders who demand absolute loyalty. The strongest defense is an engaged, informed public that values and protects its freedoms. Tyranny advances when good people do nothing. The past is a warning. Freedom is fragile, and it's our duty to keep its flame alive.